I think the most terrifying thing about The Strangers is the fact that it's just because you were home, they answered, and so game on. I loved working with Brian Bertino. He had such a confidence on set. He had a vision. He was very specific about what he wanted. Kept us all focused, and it was really intense. I mean, I was probably making terrible faces underneath the mask, like really ugly faces. Because it's such a quiet film, I think people attribute a lot of their own imagination to it, and I think that's kind of magical. Fun fact, I didn't audition for Pinup Girl. The casting directors reached out to me. I'd worked with them before, and they had this project that a first-time writer-director was attached to, and Liv Tyler was attached to it. But she lived in New York, and they were casting the male lead here in LA, and they wanted an actor to sort of give Brian Bertino the best experience of like a chemistry read in order to cast the male lead. So they asked me to come in and read Liv Tyler's part with the potential actors. And I read the script, thought it was amazing, blown away, but I didn't think there was anything in it for me. I thought it would be a fun exercise to read with good actors and meet a new director. And then I got a call that they were offering me the role of Pinup Girl.
Can you hear me? Hello?
I thought about Pinup Girl as being somebody who was disaffected, not tethered to society or family or friends, and that she found disconnected people in the Man in the Mask and in Dollface, and that they really got something out of playing like a cat and mouse game with just innocent people who happened to cross their paths. I feel like that's what made her feel alive, was that kind of torture and psychological game that she played with people who happened to answer the door.
Help me.
The interesting thing about putting your performance into your body is that it kind of frees you up. Wearing the mask, but also being tasked with being really scary. I had to find something inside of me that generated an energy that somehow would scare Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. I really just focused on that, and it's freeing because you don't have to think about what your face looks like. When I first arrived on set, Gemma and Kip had already shot with Liv and Scott for about a week. And I arrived there and I got strict instructions not to let Liv see me in my mask before we shot. The first scene that I shot was stalking Liv Tyler outside of the barn. I had been told that she really wanted to be scared. She didn't want to have to fake it. And so it was my responsibility to really scare her. So we shot that scene. I ran at her. She started actually screaming, and then she kicked me away as I came over her, stopping right above her. Brian and the producers said I did a good job. I felt much better about actually scaring Liv after that experience. There was so much tension in the script, even though there wasn't a lot of dialogue, and even between Liv and Scott Speedman's parts, there's not a lot of words. A lot of it is chemistry and looks, and music too played a huge role in the film, and I like that. I like the quiet. I think that your mind goes to some interesting places when you're given a moment to imagine what's happening or imagine what they're thinking. I think as far as really memorable moments, what stood out to me is that quiet moment where Liv is in the kitchen. Everything seems fine, and then just it's almost like, wait, was he always there? Did my eye miss it? Like all of a sudden, the man in the mask is there, sort of lurking over her shoulder. To me, the way that that's shot and the audience reaction to it is pretty amazing. I took it very seriously that Pinup's role was a very active role, that she, even though she was smaller than the other two, that somehow she was more physical. I understood, and then I also tried to harness and to make the most of that. So I gave her more anger issues. My entrance into the film is in the pickup truck. I shot that, but then the stunt coordinator, who happens to be a man, I guess, took it upon himself to actually perform that stunt. So only one part of the film am I also a man. The second scene where stunt person did some work as pinup girl was the smashing of the radio in the barn. I did everything, but then she actually wielded the sledgehammer. But they had me in the wings waiting because I said, I can do it. But then we ran out of time. Pinup Girl is actually the most action-oriented of the three. They were trying to get away in the car. Pinup Girl put an end to that. And then when Liv is trying to communicate through the transistor radio, Pinup Girl put an end to that. So she really is she's really the brawn of the operation. She's the brains and the brawn. For me, the most emotional part of the film as Pinup Girl was the final stabbing scene, and coming face to face and really having to go to that dark place of intimately stabbing somebody. I think because I had been so physical, I was kind of the most emotional in the final stabbing scene. I think that Dollface was the most sort of taken with the fact that she was killing someone, and Man in the Mask was more committed to it. And weirdly, I felt, as my character, as Pinup Girl, I felt conflicted. So there was a little bit of emotion there, but kind of that I had committed to doing this. And we had all decided as the characters that this was the first time that we actually killed our victims. In the past, we had maybe done this a few times, but we hadn't finished the game. So in the original script, we take the masks off during the killing scene, and that's how we shot it. In the original script, there were 2 or 3 more scenes after that, and we shot those as well. We didn't know that the final cut would cut around our faces in the stabbing scene. I mean, you can see us. It's actually really beautifully shot because it's not obvious that they're trying to hide our faces. It's just the cuts happen to not show too much of our faces, maybe a little profile or something like that. But the actual scene that we shot was very intimate. It was very face-to-face, looking in each other's eyes. There was a little bit more dialogue in what we shot. They cut it out to kind of keep us more mysterious. But I did say during the killing stabbing scene, I did tell Scott Speedman's character, I'm sorry. I actually saw an early cut of that stabbing scene the way that we all thought it was shot, showing us and having the I'm sorry in there, and it was really long and it was so disturbing. I watched it and I was crying, and I did think that was a really beautiful, twisted piece of film. I got a call from Brian that they had decided to cut around our faces and they were trying to keep us more mysterious, and I understood that. I wasn't upset because it made sense for that vision of the film. A few scenes that we shot, but were not in the final version of the film, were us changing into their clothes, and so that last scene in the pickup truck, we are actually in Scott and Liv's clothes. We clean up, we unpack their bags, we go through their bags, we pull out some clothes, and those are the clothes that we're in at the end of the movie.
It'll be easier next time.
My thoughts on the end of the film with the religious boys coming in, finding Scott dead and Liv, and then that final scream. My interpretation was that she was dead, and that was sort of her last gasp. But I love that it's open to interpretation, and you don't know for sure if she's still alive. Scott's definitely dead, but she might be alive.
Hello?
Watching the movie with an audience was bananas. It was so amazing. I actually went with a group of friends. The guy behind the concession stand was like, "Oh my gosh, are you here to see The Strangers? It is so scary. Have you seen it yet?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "You are going to be so scared." And I was. It was intense, and it was an amazing experience. I really, really loved everyone involved. Cast, crew, people were top notch. Yes, I was very happy with the final movie. I think it's kind of a classic.